Low Franconian, Low Frankish are a group of several West Germanic languages spoken in the Netherlands, northern Belgium, in the North Department of France, in western Germany, as well as in Suriname, South Africa and Namibia, that originally descended from Old Frankish. Frankish language. The Frankish language, also Old Frankish, was the language of the Franks. It is a West Germanic language and was spoken in Merovingian times, preceding the 7th century. Austrasia formed the northeastern portion of the kingdom of the Merovingian Franks, comprising parts of the territory of present-day Western Germany, eastern and northern France, Luxembourg, Belgium, and the Netherlands. The Franks first established themselves in the Netherlands and Flanders before they started to fight the way down south and east. The language had a significant impact on Old French. It evolved into Old Dutch in the north and it was replaced step by step by the Langs Doil in the south. Old Frankish is not directly attested except in glosses and small phrases. It has been reconstructed using the comparative method from loan words in Old French and from Old Dutch. One known phrase in Old Frankish is found in the Salic law of the early 6th century, and is used to free a serf. Old Low Franconian was a group of dialects spoken in the Low Countries. It was the daughter language of the Old Frankish language. Development. Old Low Franconian is sometimes divided in two groups, Old Dutch and Old East Low Franconian. Because the two groups were so similar, it is often very hard to determine whether a text is Old Dutch or Old East Low Franconian, and so most linguists will generally use Old Dutch synonymously with Old Low Franconian and most of the time do not differentiate. Regardless of this difference in interpretation, East Low Franconian was eventually absorbed into Dutch as it became the dominant form of Low Franconian, although it remains a noticeable substrate within the Limburgish language. Development of Dutch. Dutch, like other Germanic languages, is conventionally divided into three phases. In the development of Dutch, these phases were 425 450ths-1150 Old Dutch, 1150 to 1500 Middle Dutch, 1500 present Modern Dutch. Low Franconian varieties are also spoken in the German area along the Rhine between Cologne and the border between Germany and the Netherlands. During the 19th and 20th centuries, these dialects have partly and gradually been replaced by today's Standard German. Sometimes, Low Franconian is grouped together with Low German. However, since this grouping is not based on common linguistic innovations, but rather on the absence of the High German consonant shift and Anglo-Frisian features, modern linguistic reference books do not group them together. Modern Low Franconian languages. The contemporary continental Low Franconian language area is decreasing in size. French Flanders has become more and more francophone during the last century. Brussels' capital region is officially bilingual, but largely francophone. In Germany, Low Franconian only exists as Muesrhenisch redialects and dialects. Dutch. The main dialects are Brabantian, East Flemish, Hollandic, Limburgian, Zeelandic, West Flemish, South Gelderish, Muesrhenisch. It is common to consider the Limburgish varieties as belonging to the Low Franconian languages in the past. However, all these Limburgish dialects were sometimes seen as West Central German, part of High German. This difference is caused by a difference in definition. The latter stance defines a High German variety as one that has taken part in any of the first three phases of the High German consonant shift. Limburgish is also spoken in a considerable part of the German Lower Rhine area in what could be called German-administered Limburg. For the border regions of Cleve, Aachen, Viersen, Heinsberg stretching out to the Rhine River. At the Rhine near Duisburg, it adjoins a smaller strip of other Low Franconian varieties called Bergisch. Together these distinct varieties, now often combined with the cleaved dialects as Museranisch, belong to the greater Low Franconian area between the rivers Meuse and Rhine. Limburgisch straddles the borderline between Low Franconian and Middle Franconian varieties. They are more or less mutually intelligible with the Riparian dialects, but show fewer High German shifts. In a number of towns and villages in the northeast of the Belgian province of Liege, such as Ombourg, Welkenred, and Eupen, a transitional Limburgisch Riparian dialect is spoken, called Low Dutch. Afrikaans. Afrikaans is an Indo-European language, derived from Dutch and classified as Low Franconian Germanic, mainly spoken in South Africa and Namibia, with smaller numbers of speakers in Botswana, Angola, Swaziland, Zimbabwe, Togo, and Zambia. Afrikaans originated from the Dutch language. The dialect became known as Cape Dutch. Later, Afrikaans was sometimes also referred to as African Dutch or Kitchen Dutch, although these terms were mainly pejorative. Afrikaans was considered a Dutch dialect until the late 19th century, when it began to be recognized as a distinct language, and it gained equal status with Dutch and English as an official language in South Africa in 1925. Dutch remained an official language until the new 1961 constitution finally stipulated the two official languages in South Africa to be Afrikaans and English. It is the only Indo-European language of significance that underwent distinct development on the African continent. The South African Constitution of post-1994 considers Afrikaans as one of 11 official languages. The majority of Afrikaans speakers in South Africa are coloureds of mixed European, Black African, Khoisan, Indonesian descent.